In this particular video training, we discuss how do you drive sales up through effective consumer management. Think about it this way. Optometry, or eye care as a whole, is fortunate enough to be one of the very few industries that has three major components to it that need to function cohesively and effectively together at the same time. These components can be explained as follows, just to get us started. Initially, you've got the academic or information phase. This phase involves all the information needed by the business before a consumer walks to the practice. It is the knowledge that every team player needs to have readily available to be able to explain to the consumer what their needs are and what the consumer should be aware of pertaining to their visual requirements and needs. It is the kind of information that when the team has it readily available can set the business apart without even doing any form of marketing or advertising from the practice. Next, you've got what we call the clinical or execution phase. Well, this phase entails all the data that the optometrist needs to have readily available within the examination room. Consultation time is very precious or important, and competence regarding how examinations are done or diagnostic procedures are performed greatly influence the behavior of consumers. An opportunity to establish and build a trust relationship between yourself as the practice or the optometrist and the consumer exists here. Missing it will cost the business a potential client. You don't want that. And so during this clinical or execution phase, there are certain roles and responsibilities that the optometric team is supposed to be doing, and certain roles and responsibilities that the rest of the team, your sales team, your dispensing team, your eyewear consultants, your administrative team need to be doing during this particular phase. Finally, you've got the sales phase, or what we refer to as the business phase. Well, the business phase is all about the eye care experience for the consumer that is supposed to bring everything together, right? This is where the optometric team take off the academic and clinical hats or caps and put on those business caps, because at the end of the day, you are in a business. Even though you're providing a critical service such as eye care, you still have to realize that, wait a minute, this person came for an eye-related problem, right? However, in you managing that particular individual, you need to ensure that their management solutions that you are recommending for them go beyond just taking care of the visual concerns or needs. You need to also be addressing their lifestyle, leisure activities, or other activities where visual requirements play a role. And so you need to ensure that during those components or during those times, that particular individual has got clear and comfortable vision that you are providing them with. And so there is no reason why a particular individual is not leaving your practice with 2 to 3 pairs of spectacles. And we will show you in this particular training video, how do you go about approaching the consumer in a manner in which it will lead to sales going up within your practice. And so every phase is important as the next one. Each department, for example, is critical to the overall process from start to finish. When all three phases work in conjunction with one another, magic happens. Not only for the business, but most importantly, for the consumer. And so, think about it this way. Economic challenges will always be there, and industries like optometry are definitely not immune to that. In fact, when finances get tight, most people tend to look at various options available to them where they can reduce spending. Examples: consumers will go for a much longer period using the same old pair of spectacles that was prescribed to them 2 to 3 years ago, and come in 2 to 3 years post the time that they are supposed to be due for an eye exam. So they're coming to your practice not because it's time to check or renew their prescription. They're coming to the optometric practice because the pair of spectacles that you gave them last time is no longer providing them with the vision that they currently need. And so they feel like, you know what, I cannot wear this any longer. I desperately need a pair of glasses. That's what happens when there are various economic challenges that result in people cutting back on things that they will normally spend money on. And eyewear, eye-related problems and needs are the first to go in a lot of people's circumstances. And so over time, this could be a norm and a complete nightmare for your business. You don't want that. And so how can you manage the consumer in various uncertain economic climates? First of all, you have to understand that you have to retrain your entire team, or the entire team within the optometric practice needs to retrain itself on various components. Your team needs to be retrained on the following: product knowledge and usage. For example, one of the things about product knowledge and usage is that you have to understand product drawbacks. You need to be in a position as an employee within the optometric practice where you can comfortably and confidently explain or detail to the consumer that what you're currently wearing is providing you with this visual benefit. But what you should be experiencing from your eyewear is the following. So when we recommend this for you, is because this is what you should be experiencing in your visual environment versus this is what you're going to be experiencing when you don't go without it. So always understand that people right now need a reason to change their pair of spectacles. Perhaps they used to be on medical aid, now they're not on medical aid anymore. They need a reason why they need to upgrade their current pair of spectacles to the one that you're currently recommending right now. And so product knowledge and usage in terms of clinical features and benefits of a particular product in how it will help that particular individual within their working environment are very, very important. Understanding the value that a particular product plays within that person's environment is also very critical. Next, your team needs to be trained on operational capacity. Perhaps from an operational point of view, what brought you this far is not necessarily enough to take you to the next level. So it's critical that you look at various ways in which you can maintain peak performance levels. What do we mean by that? Looking at what areas of the business or of the activities within the practice do we need to do more of? What do we need to do less of? What do we need to start doing that we have never done before? What do we need to stop doing completely because it's holding the practice from getting to the next level? So that's what we mean about operational capacity. Next, convenience optometry. What is that all about? Is there a lot of innovation or technological advancements that are taking place within your practice? You have spent the last 6-7 years in your practice not even having a digital presence. Now, you realize that you're supposed to be having a digital presence in order to connect with various consumers that you're missing out on because you don't have a digital presence. And you must remember now, things are highly advanced. You just having a website or you just being on social media, it's definitely not enough. Is your website e-commerce based? What subscription-based services and solutions are you providing the various consumers or targeted audiences that you are serving within the community that your practice functions in? So how easily accessible or how easy it is for a person to do business with you? Is it very easy to get products that you are prescribing to them? So that's what we mean about convenience optometry. Are you still where you were 5-10 years ago? Or are you evolving within the practice as the environment around you is also evolving? Next, consumer profiling. A lot of practices have this thing of just detailing or providing services that are the same to every single person that comes to the optometric practice, not realizing that consumers are divided into various generation types, market segment. They make purchasing decisions that are different. So they've got characteristics that define them. So for example, a patient is different from a customer who is different from a client. Components like loyalty, those patients or those consumers who have been with the practice for a very long time are different and will approach the practice differently from someone who's coming to the practice for the very first time. So consumer profiling now is something that your team needs to be trained on now more than ever. Next, sales. I get surprised a lot that optometric practices don't invest a lot of time on sales and equipping the team on sales. Sales is something that you have to do on a regular basis. As an optometric practice, remember, you did not go out and hire a sales consultant. You went and hired an administrative staff member. Then, years later, because you think that this person has been in the practice for 2 to 3 years, they are well equipped on sales. It doesn't work like that. That person has to go up the journey of a new employee. So they came in as an administrative individual. You're training them to be an eyewear consultant. You're training them to be a sales consultant. You're getting them to a level where they can become a sales expert within optometric practices pertaining to the optometric products that the particular practice that you are running or operating in is constantly focusing on a day-to-day basis. New technology is constantly coming in. New products are constantly coming in. The way the consumer approaches optometric practice is constantly evolving. And so you also have to make sure that your sales knowledge, your sales approach is constantly being upgraded and taken to the next level. And lastly, the clinical requirements that set the business apart from all the other rest. So you perhaps have been surviving on basic or general optometric care, but it's high time you realize that, wait a minute, what specialty services or specialized services are we providing to the consumers within this community? Are we missing out on being able to provide various services to these people who are in our community because we don't go beyond the general optometric care that we have been providing over the years? And now with everything being online, consumers are not coming to the optometry practices as often as they used to. And so what are we doing from a clinical point of view that will be displayed on our online or digital platforms that can connect the consumer with what we are offering? And that's what brings feet into the practice. And that's what we mean about you need to retrain the entire team, upskill, develop the different individuals within the team in order for the whole team, irrespective of the roles and responsibilities that they have, to be functioning at the highest possible level of efficiency and excellence that they can. And that will change the way things are done within the optometric practice. Number two, it's you have to prepare for the sale that you want. What do we mean by that? Consumer records, if in order, can provide you with all the information you need about the consumer. When it comes to sales, category placement of consumers enables the practice to know what type of individual you are dealing with at any given time. So you need to have like a snapshot of every single individual. This thing of a person comes to the practice and they're making an appointment, and then you just go into the computer screen looking at, oh yes, Ntate Chabalala, you pull out the file, you get the file ready for Ntate Chabalala's appointment that's going to be in 2 days' time. It's unacceptable. That's what we used to do. Right now, when you go to Ntate Chabalala's profile, you need to be seeing Ntate Chabalala's a snapshot of Ntate Chabalala's buying behavior, purchasing behavior. Ntate Chabalala has been with the practice for the last 7 years. Each time, Ntate Chabalala spends between 7 and 10,000 rands. We actually have not upgraded Ntate Chabalala on his current pair of spectacles. He keeps coming for the same management solution. When was the last time we spoke to Ntate Chabalala about upgrades on lens material, coatings, tints, frames, technological advancements? Him getting more than 2 pairs, because he usually comes for buy one get one free. But the free pair has always been like a by the way type of pair. He uses it there and there. But why can't we change the way we have always been approaching Ntate Chabalala? So if you don't have a snapshot that gives you the profile of Ntate Chabalala, you will not know where the sales opportunities are before you even prescribe anything to Ntate Chabalala. So category placement enables you with every single consumer. For someone coming in for the very first time to the practice, complete the category placement card, because that category placement card, you will write first time visitor. It details what this person gets from the practice on that particular day. 6 months later, when you have to follow up with that individual, you have a snapshot of what was there before. A year later, when that person comes again to the practice, you've got a snapshot of their previous buying behavior. So it's very, very important that you have this snapshot and category placement card within every single file that you have in your system. Most practices file their records according to alphabetical orders, right? Absolutely nothing wrong with that. How about the following new strategy though, if you think about it? Why can't you have your filing on your computer screen structured in a manner in which it profiles or it's broken down into the following categories? 1, new patients. 2, whether it's a follow-up visitor or customer, someone who comes there for the very second time, and you can indicate it or clearly see it on the system. A client, someone who's been there for more than twice. Or broken down into generation types. So if this person belongs to a particular generation type, whether it's Generation X, millennial, generation or Z, or baby boomers, whichever generation type you profile in there. Is it medical aid or not? Is it an individual or a dependent of someone who's got insurance or medical aid? And has this person been coming for a single pair of spectacle or a pair of spectacles, or coming with multiple management? So what we mean by multiple management is those individuals who are getting spectacles, 2 to 3 pairs of spectacles, contact lenses, sunglasses, prescription sunglasses. The person who buys the entire management solution. Those are very special individuals because they can provide you with an opportunity for you to sell them stuff on a more regular basis. And those things that you're selling them, you're not waiting for the 2-year cycle. Some new products are coming in 6 months later, you're giving them a call. You are informing them about the new products and new specials, promotions that are running in the practice. And so think about different ways in which you can structure your filing system on the computer or wherever you are using it, so that you are in a position where you know you are preparing for the various sales opportunities that may exist. So think about it this way. 30 years ago, files were still being kept in alphabetical order. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Why are we still doing it the same way? That's something that you need to think about. So your approach needs to constantly evolve as times change. If you think you can still do what you were doing years ago and not only survive but thrive, then you've got another thing coming, because that's not what's going to happen. Number 3, as a business owner, this is all about now. Number 3, you have to change practice behavior. And so what do we mean by this? As a business owner, your team should never hear you say the following in any way, no matter what the circumstances are. It's very quiet these days. It's winter, and so business is a bit quiet. We are not doing the kind of sales that we used to before. Patients are not spending on glasses like they used to. The list goes on and on. Don't make excuses, or don't verbalize your excuses to the rest of the team, because they pick up on that energy. Your team you need to basically stay positive, upbeat, and optimistic about the practice every single day. And as a team, you need to see and speak the vision of the practice at all times. If you don't know why your clients are coming to your practice, you're going to struggle to understand why they're no longer coming to your practice, or why they're no longer returning. Here's an interesting thing. You find that, I'll give you a practical example. 5 years ago, you were seeing, let's say for example, you were seeing 250 clients in a month, or 250 people in a month. 2016, 2017, you're now seeing 200 people. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, you're now seeing 170 people in a month. A year ago, you were seeing 120 people in a month. Then you find yourself stuck in the middle of a pandemic. And all of a sudden, based on various restrictions and all of the challenges that the whole world is facing, you are now seeing 40 people or 50 people in a month. And you're going to be making the mistake of thinking it was as a result of the pandemic, not realizing that when you were looking back, your consumers have been leaving you over a certain period of time, and you are not even aware of that. And now you're stuck in the middle of a pandemic, and you are thinking that you're not seeing the numbers that you used to see because of that, not realizing that they left you 5 years ago, or they started leaving your practice 5 years ago. And that's because in this past 5 years, you are not focused on understanding what your clear value proposition or unique value proposition was, or your unique selling point was. and you did not understand why people kept coming back to your practice. And so when they stopped coming to your practice, you started making excuses and not taking responsibility of why they stopped coming. So don't fall in that trap where you don't take cognizant of why people are coming to your practice. A lot of times, optometric practices don't get feedback, don't ask for feedback, are not aware of what it is that people are coming to them for. So if you're not aware, when people don't start coming, you're going to lose out and not even have a realization of what to do. So understand that consumer mindset has totally changed, and getting to the next level of consumer service and excellence will require a different approach from the status quo you have been mastering all along. And so here are some things to always remember when it comes to the consumers. Listen to the consumer's needs and concerns. It's very important that you listen to them. Learn consumer names like the practice depends on it. You'll be amazed at what a connection does, or it gets as a result of you just being able to call someone out by their name, and it's only the second time that you've seen them. Have an awareness that every walk-in, remember that walk-in is that person who comes into the practice for the very first time, is a potential patient. Every patient is a potential customer. Every customer is a potential client. Every client is 5 to 10 new consumers for your practice or for your business. Every satisfied consumer leads to a new referral. Excellent service delivery and excellence or experience leads to increased sales all the time. So you have to have a checklist within the practice where you are able to ensure that the experience that people are getting from the practice, it's that of excellent service delivery. If you as a team are not guaranteeing that to every single consumer, they're going to start going to practices that can produce that or get them or deliver on that. So that's very, very important. Number 4, challenge consumer behavior. Whenever a consumer says they need time to think about the management solution you are proposing, your responsibility is then to do the following. Probe them in a more friendly and kind manner to discover what the actual challenges are. If the challenge is a financial one, don't be too focused on downgrading the management solution you initially suggested for a cheaper solution so that you can just get a sale. Don't do that. Be confident in your service, product, and pricing, and tell the consumer to rather go and save some money for the management solution that you are recommending. You can only do that when you have done the following from the moment the consumer comes to the practice. You were constantly educating and informing them about what their problem is, what causes their problem, why their visual environment is being affected like that as a result of the problem, what they need to do, why you are doing certain tests, and why you're recommending what you are recommending. This is what they should experience from your recommendation, and if they go with that, this is what the benefit will be, or this is what they'll be gaining. If they don't go with that, this is what they'll be losing out on. And once you have done that whole process, and the time you start talking about products and the amounts that or the pricing, it makes it easier for them to be making an informed decision at that time. A lot of times, optometric practices, they test people's eyes without communicating in terms of why they're doing certain procedures, and exactly the example that I've just given. Then the optometrist hands over the test card to the staff member for the staff member to continue selecting products, selecting eyewear, and so forth. And then all of a sudden, the patient is not spending or is not leaving the practice with that which was recommended for them, simply because the proper steps were not followed, and you're going to be losing out on that which the practice needs, which is the sale at the end of the day. And so you have to demonstrate the importance of the management solution or management plan in relation to the problems that they have and how it will benefit them. Then, once all of that has been done and there's still a challenge at play pertaining to finances, you can then only at that point look at which components of the management solution that you have recommended are you able to adjust the price. When a consumer gets confidence that you are not just trying to sell them something, but you are actually looking out for their visual needs and you're concerned about how they're going to see, they don't think or get the impression that all you want is for them to buy the expensive pair of spectacles. They never get that. They will only get that when you have not been educating them from the minute they walked into the optometric practice. And so very, very important. And so they need to see that you care and have their best interest in mind, not just the sale. Sometimes that which sounds like a challenge, especially when it comes to price, is just really a question of how flexible you are pertaining to, or how willing you are to be able to be flexible enough regarding the final amount. And what are the clear payment options that are available for that particular individual pertaining to that which you have recommended. So always get to the real issue by asking right questions and staying committed to finding a solution that will benefit the consumer and the practice. Never be overbearing to the consumer. It pushes them away actually. And remember, if they want to shop around for a better deal, that is fine. You have to trust your processes. You cannot trust your processes if your processes were flawed. But if you know that your processes, you followed everything to the T, you made sure that this person got great quality service and we did everything that we needed to do as a practice to ensure that this person gets the solution for their problem, then you need to relax. Don't be too pushy because it will just push people away. So when you've given them a great service and a worthwhile experience for them to remember, very important, they will return irrespective of what the price was at another place. They will rather come back and say, hey, I got this from this practice at this price. Are you guys willing to give me what I need, because I really loved the service that I got from you guys. I just can't afford it. So you have to have those conversations with the individual and indicate a specific date and time that you will follow up and do exactly that. Next, ask for feedback. Very, very important. Always ask feedback from the consumer. Inquire about the services you rendered. Get reviews on the user experience of the products you provided. Request for referrals if possible. Then analyze the feedback you get weekly from every consumer. What's the point of getting all this feedback from consumers and do nothing about it? So you need to get as much information about your practice, your products, your services that you can from the consumer, and then look at, okay, guys, our consumers are saying the following about our practice or about our services or about anything pertaining to the practice or the business. This is how we need to then start readjusting ourselves and making sure that that which is good that people are mentioning, we keep capitalizing on that. That which is not good, we fix. And the next part here, which is basically the last part, is invest in the team. This will always involve any or all of the following: leadership development, employee development, team development, business development. Specific time needs to be scheduled for the above. And remember the following: training is not a once-off thing that you do there and there when you think you've got time. It's a continuous process as the business owner. Why? The business owner can only go as far as the vision that they have stretches them. The team can only grow as far as the business owner grows. The business can only grow as far as the team is willing to go. Simple as that. So when you as the business owner take your employees to a level that they have never been before, they in turn will take the practice to a level it has never been before. And so to conclude on this video training, you need to understand the above strategies that we have mentioned can actually effectively drive sales up if implemented correctly. What you have always been doing to drive sales has gotten you this far. Unfortunately, it will not get you to the next level. And so remember that as the business owner, your academic knowledge, clinical skills, and business acumen are just the beginning. How you get them to work together, and most importantly, how you transfer that to the whole team, will ensure that your business will continue to thrive during economic uncertainties and excel beyond what is currently doing at the current moment. And so that was basically how you go about driving sales up through effective consumer management within the optometric practice.